Okay guys, we're going to be looking at the dangerous tree challenge level. Hopefully this is going to help a little bit uh, get the concepts down of nesting ifs and checking distances. So what we're basically going to be doing is looking for enemies that are less than actually 15 meters away from our hero, from our avatar. If they are less than 15 meters away, if they get close to our avatar, we're going to attack them. If we don't see an enemy, we're going to move to the center point. Alright, I'm going to start the concept challenge. There's no code here whatsoever, so the first thing, probably the safest thing to do is just to start my while true loop. Okay, because we need a while true loop in order to keep looping through our game. Okay, it's got to go over and over again. Alright, so again, if you see an enemy that's closer than 15 meters, attack it. Otherwise, move to the center point. So let's find an enemy. Okay, we're going to need to look for an enemy. And I want to put that enemy into some kind of storage facility. I'm going to just create a variable called enemy, and then I'm going to use the hero find nearest enemy method. And that's going to look for an enemy in the area, and that's nearest to the hero. And then it's going to place it into this variable called enemy, so that way I can use it in my program. Okay, so even though enemy's value is going to keep changing, I don't have to worry about what's in there. All I have to do is just use enemy to stand in for the data that's being stored there as my program progresses, as my game goes on. Okay, so the next thing I have to do is I have to check, is there an enemy? Okay, because even though hero find nearest enemy is looking for an enemy, while the loop is going around and round, there may not always be an enemy at that point in time. So we can't assume that there's going to be anything in there. If we assume that there's something in there and we keep trying to attack things that aren't there, we're going to run out of time, or we're going to get attacked in ways that our game won't work the way we think it's going to work. So I need to find the enemy, and then I have to check to see if there is actually an enemy there. Now if there's an enemy there, I need to then, now that I know there's an enemy, I have to check how far it is, because the enemies could be all the way around. They could be anywhere around here, okay? But I only want to attack those enemies that are within 15 meters of my hero. Okay, so I need to get the distance. I'm going to create a variable called distance. You can call it whatever you like, but distance, of course, makes the most sense. And then I'm going to get let's see, distance. I'm going to have the hero find the distance too. Now, Code Combat makes its own variable name called target. You're going to need to change that over. Since we're using enemy, I'm just going to change that to enemy. Okay, so if there's an enemy, I need to get the distance. I don't want to get a distance on something that doesn't exist. So the if statement on line 6 establishes that I have an enemy. And then once I establish there's an enemy, I can then get the distance. So I'm going to nest the distance, line 7, distance equals hero, distance to enemy, underneath this if statement, because I don't want distance to be checked. There's no enemy. Okay, once I find an enemy, I'm going to get its distance. Now I have to nest another if under line 6, the first if. I want to check the distance, because they're asking us to check the distance of the enemy. If it's closer than 15 meters, attack it. So I'm going to say if distance is less than 15, okay, we want to attack. Hero, attack, enemy. Okay. Now, the other thing they were saying is that if we don't see an enemy, we're going to move to the center point. Okay. This could be a little confusing, so you have to be very careful with Code Combat's directions. Okay, but what they were saying is that if you see an enemy that's closer, attack it. It says if you otherwise, move to the center point. So if we don't see an enemy, we're just going to move to the center of our game piece, which is, I guess, about 40-35 or something like that. Move X, Y, I don't know, 40-35. Let's just try that. Okay, and I'm going to run it. Let's see if this works. Okay, the hero's in the center. This enemy actually was less than 15 meters away. He's attacking it. Now he's moving to the center. Whenever there's no enemy close enough, he moves to the center. Another enemy's coming towards him. He attacks that enemy. Notice that the enemy up here is not being touched. They're more than 15 meters away, but these little ones coming in, they're getting close, and then they're getting attacked because they're within that 15-meter distance. And once he attacks the enemy and there are no more enemies within his range, he's going to move back. Okay, so looks like that worked. Any questions, just let me know.